guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Mark Ellis.
Welcome one and all to the best movie news show in the entire galaxy. My name is Mark. We have a bevy of great movie news to get to today. I have an awesome panel, and I found out something I never knew about Ashley before. She can shred and axe like nobody's business. 12 years of guitar lessons. Ashley Van Hendricks. Who else is on the show with us?
Also here, Collider Heroes host Jon Schnepp.
Hey, what's going on? Happy to be here.
Also here, host of Jedi Council, Kristian Harloff.
I'm also happy to be here.
They cannot play any musical instruments. Is that correct?
I can whistle.
I can sing.
Okay, so you guys got me.
So I win, basically.
Yeah, I think Ashley wins.
What I'm saying is that we're going to form a band and go on tour. But before we do that or get any into these movie news stories, we do have some sad news to report. And for that, we're going to go to our very own Jon Schnepp.
Hi, guys. I would like to celebrate the life of actress Gloria DeHaven. Now, she passed away this weekend at age 91. Gloria was one of the last surviving stars from the golden age of cinema, having started her career at age 10 in Charlie Chaplin's film Modern Times. She gave Frank Sinatra his first on-screen kiss in Step Lively, played her own vaudevillian mother in Three Little Words, singing the very famous song Who's Sorry Now, and starred with Gene Kelly and Judy Garland in the musical Summer Stock. She was a flirtatious firecracker, a real movie star, and most importantly, she was my fiancée Holly Payne's grandma, adorably nicknamed Gigi. She had a cheeky sense of humor, was intensely loved by her entire family, and she will be missed. So let's celebrate Gloria DeHaven. Check out a lot of her films.
Well said, Jon Schnepp. You got to hang out with her, I know, a lot in the last maybe 5 or 10 years of her life. What was she to you?
She was great. I loved her. She was really fun. She was always threatening to take me away from Holly because she was like, I'm taking him. I'm taking him. She was very fun, impish sense of humor, and she was a great woman.
Well, very well said. Thank you for that. And make sure that you guys check out all of her legacy. I'm sure you can go online and Google. Like you said, she had so many different talents and so many facets of her career and personality. So it's definitely somebody worth investigating and getting to know a little bit better. As Jon Schnepp said, she was 91 years old. Before we go to Ashley, we also want to remind you guys that a little bit later on in the show today, we're going to be talking about Suicide Squad in our opening this week segment and all of the craziness that is surrounding Suicide Squad, even before the movie opens, what it's doing on Rotten Tomatoes right now. And I'll also let you guys know that everybody on the panel, maybe besides Ashley because she is a guitar lesson, is going to be seeing the movie tonight. So we'll be able to speak a lot more intelligently on our thoughts about the film once we actually get to watch it. But I will go to you boys really quick. Schnepp, are you excited to see Suicide Squad tonight?
I am really excited. You know what? I know it's weird, like hearing just some advanced reviews, poo-pooing the film or whatever. But at the same sense, it's like maybe I'm not going to go in as excited as I was about Batman v Superman, but I'm still really excited to see this film and have my own opinion. So I'm looking forward to it.
Kristian, I've been watching movies with you together for 8 years. Every time you're in a theater, you're excited. You want the movie to be great. Are you excited to see Suicide Squad?
I'm really excited for this movie. I like everything I've seen so far. I like all the trailers. I like the initial. I love the fact that David Ayer is directing it. I just am looking at the internet gods saying, please make this thing good. Please be good.
I think your first problem is that you're worshiping internet gods. They are false gods. They are not real idols. And we will talk about Suicide Squad more in depth later on in the show. So you can save your comments in the chat room. We're actually talking about it. In the meantime, we do have a great Guardians of the Galaxy story to kick things off with. What's up, Ash?
The end credits for 2012's The Avengers first introduced Thanos to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and with it revealed his quest to collect all the Infinity Stones that will presumably come to a head with 2018's Avengers Infinity War. Seeing as the original Guardians of the Galaxy introduced one Infinity Stone now in the hands of the Nova Corps, many fans now wonder whether or not there will be another stone in Volume 2. Taking to his Facebook page, director James Gunn stated in no uncertain terms that the Infinity Stones will not play a role in the upcoming sequel. There will be no Infinity Stones in Volume 2. There will be Infinity Nothing. It's a story about the Guardians and isn't meant to lead to anything else. This makes a lot of sense, seeing as back in December, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige hinted that Thanos would not show up in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Later, Gunn confirmed it, saying the Guardians had other fish to fry. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 arrives in theaters on May 5th, 2017. Mark, what do you think about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 not having any Infinity Stones featured in the movie? movie.
Well, I can't say I totally believe it, Ashley, but I like the slant that we're going with here because it seems to be every news, all the news that gets out there, it feels like you're spoiling the movie or what it's going to mean going forward. So it's natural for. But we also know that Guardians of the Galaxy has been that movie franchise where they don't necessarily need to further the Marvel lore. That's going to be the crux of the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward. We already have that with the Avengers furthering the story and letting us know about more things in the world. So Guardians of the Galaxy can step back, and it can cherry pick some things from there, but it also can just be a fun adventure in its own right. So I do believe James Gunn when I hear that we're not going to have a heavy dose of Infinity Stones. There might be some teases in there that he's not letting us know about just yet. Kristian?
Yeah, I love the comments, and good. We don't need them. They did it for the first one. We also know that we're going to be getting the Avengers 1 and 2, and they'll obviously incorporate it in those two movies, and we're getting close to those anyway, and they're going to start shooting them movies soon. This should be a movie that just celebrates the Guardians and gets us more involved with just what they're doing. You don't have to. You don't want to fall into the trap of what they did with Iron Man 2, where it was just about the setup of setting up the Avengers.
Or even Age of Ultron, which is a movie I really liked, but you could clearly tell that in that movie that Marvel wanted Joss Whedon to put more things setting up the future.
It also shows that they trust more in James Gunn to say, do your thing, add your style of humor to these characters, the things that you've already been doing so far. And we saw that for those people that were in Hall H. We were able to see that trailer. They didn't have any Infinity Stones. Now, I agree with you that it's possible they have little Easter eggs, or maybe even the post-credit scene has something to do with it, and James Gunn could be wording it in the actual movie that it doesn't have anything to do. So I like it. I think that it's fresh, and you just go and you focus on the Guardians and let them do their thing.
Schnepp, a lot of times with directors, they really like to talk about their own movie, not even reference the post-credit scene, if that, in fact, is what is going to tie into Age of Ultron or, Infinity War, whatever we have going forward. How much stonage do you think we're going to see in Guardians of the Galaxy?
I think zero stonage. I think we're going to see Captain Marvel perhaps be introduced in Guardians of the Galaxy,
really?
Either as a post-credit scene or something. Because remember, she's from the Nova Corps. You have a lot of the Kree Skrull War type stuff that can be happening, or at least being introduced in Guardians. I think don't forget Thor Ragnarok, or Hot Thor Time Machine. Remember he had that vision of the stones. So I think the final stone will be in the Thor Ragnarok film. We'll see one of them in Doctor Strange, then the Thor Ragnarok, and then we get into the single film Infinity War. Because like they said, they're not doing them as two films now. The second Avengers film will be something else, which I think will be the ramifications of whatever happens with the first film, Infinity War. So yeah, I believe Gunn. But remember, he also said Ego the Living Planet's not in the movie, and he's actually he's playing Star-Lord's dad.
Did he say that?
Yeah,
he said he wasn't.
But you know what? I totally trust Gunn. I think he was just like, look, don't you want to just enjoy the film with no spoilers? But I totally believe that no stones will be involved.
Well,
Infinity, nothing.
Yeah, that's why I don't trust James Gunn at all, but I love that he's saying this stuff because it throws us off the scent. And if that's the only way to do it, then I'm glad directors have no problem lying to our faces because it keeps us a little surprised when we do get to experience something that we didn't expect in a movie theater. That's pretty sweet. Well, speaking of canon-steeped mythology, let's move on to Splash.
It was back in June when we first heard Disney was developing a remake to Ron Howard's Mermaid Tale Splash. Now, thanks to a report from THR, it's been announced that Channing Tatum and Jillian Bell are attached to star in the remake, which has Howard himself set to produce alongside Brian Grazer through their Imagine Entertainment banner. But that's not all. This comedic pairing comes with a twist of its own. In this new version of Splash, Tatum will play the merman and Belle will play the human. The story of Howard's 1984 original revolved around a man played by Tom Hanks who, as a young boy, was saved from drowning by a mermaid played by Daryl Hannah, only to be visited by her 2 decades later. It's unclear how closely the Splash remake will follow the original film. Marjorie Lewis Ryan has been set to pen the script, and Disney will likely be on the hunt for a director sooner rather than later. Schnepp, thoughts on a Splash remake with Channing Tatum as the merman?
I think we totally called it in June on Movie Talk. We were saying, I bet it's going to be a merman. I go back in time. It's on YouTube. You can watch the episode. I can't remember which one of us said it.
It actually is. I believe it was you, but we were all spitballing it. And then I think you brought up the point that it could be a dude is the merman, and then that's a totally different twist. I think we had Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
And not Channing Tatum, but pretty close.
But we haven't even looked at it. But you guys go ahead and do some investigative detective work and find out who said it. We called it. You could thank us producers by sending us a check in the mail. What's up,
Or
yo?
yell at us.
Yeah, or yell at us. But yeah, you know what? I think it's funny. I think it's good. I like the cast. I just, I'm sure when she finally says her name and breaks 1 million computer monitors instead of televisions, we're gonna have some updated sequences, But I can't wait to see it. We'll see what happens.
And this is something that Brian Grazer's been wanting to do forever. Like he produces everything, and he really cares about this property. I think it might have been the first movie he ever produced, as a matter of fact. So he cares about Splash. He cares about the story, and because he cares so much, it's probably really going to disappoint him to hear that I still have never seen the original.
Wow,
Splash.
bocce balls.
Yeah, no, I know. You've showed me clips from it. I love John Candy more than life itself. So there's a lot of greatness in the first Splash, I'm sure. Now I need to revisit it.
Yeah, I don't like this. I love the first Splash. I love it. I think it still holds up. It's really funny. This is what I was talking about with Stranger Things for me. Bringing it back to a show that a lot of shows try to recapture, or not shows, movies try to recapture that feel of the 80s, that special magic that the 80s was able to do. And I don't think until Stranger Things, anybody was really able to do it. There are people who set things in the 80s, and even like the Everybody Wants Some, it felt a little bit too, but it still felt like it was made today. Stranger Things is the first thing I've ever seen to where I felt like it could have been actually shot in the 80s with the music and everything. It was subtle. This is something that not only is going to be set in the 80s, but it had a specific type of magic that the 80s had with the talent involved and everything too. And they're just basically doing another Ghostbusters thing where they're flipping it on its head. And I don't know who's going to direct it. Maybe they'll get a director that it works out. Look, Paul Feig is a really funny director, a really good director, and I didn't like the new Ghostbusters at all. I thought it was a miss. So I don't know if this is something that can work today. I have these visions of just a silly, goofy comedy with Channing Tatum as the mermaid. I am definitely skeptical going into this thing, but that's not to say a trailer couldn't hit, and I'm like, changing my tune.
He would not be playing a mermaid. He'd be playing a merman.
I don't care.
I feel the same way about the Ghostbusters remake, because even though I did like the Ghostbusters remake, it was one of those things where when it got announced, I'm like, I don't know that we need this, but if we're going to do it, I think they did it the right way. I think switching up the casting, having an all-female Ghostbusters, or in this case, having a male merman instead of a mermaid, I think makes sense. I think it's a funny spin on it. And unlike Ghostbusters, Splash is a classic movie as far as the 80s go, but it's not like an all-time celebrated film like I think to the level of a Ghostbusters. So I don't think you're going to get the internet backlash that you did with Ghostbusters. So it's a little bit of a safer play in that regard. And it's something that if you just put these two people in, forget that it's being remade for a minute, it does sound like a fun, ridiculous comedy that you're going to see. You might forget about it later that day, but you might have a good time in the theater laughing at it while it's going on. Ashley, do you think this sounds like something you would want to see?
Yeah, I loved Splash as a kid. I remember watching it, and I think she ate crab with the shell on it, and it made me eat crab with the shell on it.
That's awesome.
So that always just stuck with me through my childhood. But I think that this cast, if anything, they can pull it off. I think Channing Tatum and Jillian Bell will be hilarious as a duo.
Do like her very much, by the way.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, I guess, like a trailer, and then I'll go from there.
I just hope it's not stupid, goofy comedy.
That's kinda
because
what I'm
Splash
thinking,
was
yeah.
actually really romantic.
Yeah.
And it took its time, and a lot of these remakes, like Vacation, just like they just don't take what was originally good about the first film and bring that forward. It was just, I'm hoping that this is a good remake. That's all I can say. You could always watch the original though. Go back to Splash.
Well, it's always great to talk about Splash, but regretfully, we have to move to a story about another movie called Transformers. This is Buy or Sell, ladies and gentlemen. We're on to the part of the show where Ashley's going to give us a topic, and we simply say whether we buy it or sell it, and then we argue about it for a little bit. So let's talk Transformers.
All right. Transformers The Last Night continues an early marketing push, releasing the first poster banner online.
Ooh.
Michael Bay returns to the director's chair to lead the robots in disguise for the fifth time, with Mark Wahlberg, inventor Cade Yeager also returning. Story details for The Last Night are under wraps at the moment, but after the release of Transformers Age of Extinction, which grossed $1.1 billion worldwide, Paramount assembled a writer's room headed by Akiva Goldsman to flesh out the Transformers universe and plan a series of sequels and spin-offs. We can now reasonably expect The Last Night to not only continue the story of Cade Yeager, but also potentially broaden the scope of the Transformers universe and set up storylines for films to come. Transformers The Last Night opens in theaters on June 23rd, 2017, and also stars Josh Duhamel, Tyrese Gibson, and Anthony Hopkins. Kristian, buy or sell the first poster for Transformers The Last Night?
All right, we're not talking about I'm not talking about the silly Transformers peeing on people and all this ridiculousness that we've had in these dumb movies.
It's funny. It's like oil.
Talking about this poster, and huge buy for the poster. I think it's fantastic. I think it looks really cool to see Optimus Prime there with the sword. Like, if I didn't know, if there had never been a Transformers movie ever, and Michael Bay had never touched Transformers, and that's the first thing I ever saw as a Transformers fan, I'd be losing my mind.
Jumping around crazy style.
Crazy style.
Yeah.
That poster is everything I wanted Optimus Prime to look like, and look everything with the Autobot flag kind of disheveled in the background, but still hanging.
It's a heavy metal painting. It could be on the cover of Heavy Metal.
That is a badass poster.
Yeah.
That is one of the best posters I have seen in a very long time for a movie.
I would actually hang that poster
me
up
too.
if it wasn't called Transformers.
And the only thing it does is make me sad because there is no way that this movie is going to live up to this poster.
Right, remember
There's
that
just no
trailer
way.
for the Extinction? It's hey man, they got the Dinobots in there. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and I don't want. They do this every time. Campy brings it up. We bring it up every time. They get us. They trick us every time. They give us this amazing poster that puts Star Wars posters to shame. I'll even say
really
it. That
amazing.
poster is amazing. And they're going to give us a trailer and go, wait a minute, maybe that writer's room did something, and then they're going to kick you in the balls. Yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen. So,
Okay, a hearty buy for Kristian with a little bit of sadness in the last part of that. What do you got, Schnepp?
I'm going to have to hate sell this. Just kidding. I have to buy it. This poster is fantastic. It's everything that I dream of seeing in like a cool heavy metal style film. Robots fighting some weird, I don't know what those weird like Godzilla evil Skeksis creatures are that are coming in on the right-hand side. They look frightening and awesome. It's painted. It looks amazing. I want to see this film. I don't know what the hell we're going to get, but I buy this poster.
I am so disappointed in you guys. How quickly you forget what this franchise has done.
I'm buying the poster.
And I am buying the hell out of this poster. This thing is glorious. I want to put this thing up in our office.
I know.
Like, you know why? Because it looks like a poster that Mondo would make for the 86 Transformers animated
I'm
movie.
holding a sword.
It looks so good. Like, stop doing this to these movies.
That's right.
Okay, look, but we're going to get a trailer, and like Kristian said, we're probably going to fall in love with the trailer too, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I do this every time. It's the circle of life, kids. I set myself up for glorious disaster, and then when it comes crashing down and I'm in the theater and I cry and I have a physical reaction after the movie, I will apologize for believing in the last night. But right now, my God, that poster is so
Even the
good.
font for Transformers Last Night is cool.
This is Optimus Prime. Michael Bay hates you.
God, it looks so good.
Did they finally get it right?
All right.
Oh, God.
Next story before we start talking about how great this movie's going to be.
All right. One of the most unlikely films to spawn a sequel in recent memory is Denis Villeneuve's 2015 thriller Sicario. It was one of the best films of 2015 with tremendous performances by Emily Blunt, Josh Brolin, and Benicio del Toro, but adding a franchise tag to the movie seemed a bit of an odd fit. That's exactly what Lionsgate was planning, who announced they were developing a follow-up with original writer Taylor Sheridan entitled Soldado. The studio then set Gomorrah director Stefano Sollima to take the helm, and while Blunt isn't returning, Del Toro's character now takes center stage, with Brolin also set to appear. Production on Sicario 2 is set to get underway shortly, with Sicario 3 already in the works as well, and Collider's own Tommy Cook recently got the chance to speak with Sheridan about the film at an event for the crime drama Hell or High Water, which Sheridan wrote. The screenwriter revealed that Sicario 2 doubles down on the hardened aspects of the first film. Lionsgate understood that they brought something that was a spec on the first film, so there was a certain amount of latitude they had to give me on the sequel. What usually would be a long meeting about what's this character about, what's his arc, we didn't have that. They trusted me to just go do it, and with Sicario, which I'm really proud of, it really approaches some different subjects. I didn't want to demean that with the second one, so I really wrote something I double dared them to actually make. 10 times more unsentimental, more vicious, and really reflective. It's funny, a lot of people think Sicario is about the drug war and the cartels. It's not. It's a movie about American policy and the way that we police, and Sicario 2 is that on steroids. Sicario 2 has yet to secure a release date. Mark, buy or sell the sequel described as Sicario 2 on steroids.
Ooh, that is a buy for me, Ashley. I love the way that he's describing this sequel because it does sound like where you would need to go with more Sicario, especially if Emily Blunt is not not in it, and you're focusing on the most vicious part of the first Sicario, which was Benicio del Toro and then Josh Brolin. And I love how he's talking about the first Sicario maybe a little bit misunderstood because of how it was about the American policy and influencing the drug war and taking care of that, them going against the cartels. And in the same way that Lionsgate gave him all this latitude to write whatever story he wanted to, it does feel like it's reflective of an American policy where you might employ somebody like Benicio del Toro by whatever means necessary to control the drug war. I love what I'm hearing so far from Sicario 2. How about you, Schnepp?
Yeah, you know, when they first announced that they were making Sicario 2, I was like, what? What? How can you? This is a perfect one-shot film. I mean, it felt like it felt cheap. Like, what are you doing? Going for the money because it's and then hearing these statements and seeing what they're going to do with the second film, I wholeheartedly buy it because I actually loved Sicario. I love the way it was filmed. I love the way it was written. I loved all the characters in it. So it's great to see them go further, 10 times more Brolin, 10 times more vicious, Benicio. So, I mean, I love the way they really did show you the American policy and how, horrible the situation is. 10 times that, I'm in.
Kristian, it's like a cereal box and it says 30% more Del Toro. You in?
Huge buy. Yeah, and I'm with Schnepp because that was one of my favorite movies last year for sure. And when I heard Villeneuve and Deakins, I don't think Deakins is coming back. Both are not coming back. I was like, I don't know. That it was that look, the feel of that movie. But then when you hear these comments, but then as you start to think about it more, Del Toro really was the standout of that movie. So then you start to ask yourself, can that character carry a whole movie and make me interested? I'm like, yeah, absolutely he can.
He was scary.
He was really scary, but there was something to him, and like the arc, just in what happens to him in that first movie, I can only imagine where they're going to take him in 2 and 3, and then to hear the comments 10 times more vicious and intense. I mean, Sicario was about as vicious and intense as you can get. And times 10, it's not just some guy going, "Oh, you like a pretty car? We're going to make it 10 times the size of the car, and it'll be as red as you can be." It's not some used car salesman.
No.
It's a guy who legitimately is passionate about and he knows that the integrity is on the line, and he really means that. And I love that he said, like, look, for this one, it was like, you trust in me. I'm going to make something. You have the balls to make it, and there it is. But this is what's in my head. This is the way the story has to go, and they're doing that. Yeah. Yes, sign me up.
And they also have the nice template to go from the first one. Like he mentioned, that Lionsgate bought this based off the spec that was the first movie.
Right.
So when you have, like, you can look at the way Deakins shot it, and even if he's not the cinematographer coming back, you can also just be like, hey, we want something like this. You can try to replicate some of the really intense scenes of the first Sicario, but also just put it on steroids, like they're saying.
Yeah, I guarantee you, though, they do 3 movies. Benicio del Toro is not making out of it alive after the 3rd movie. No way.
Yeah, not in this realistic context.
No, he's toast.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to something that's a little bit lighter.
A new trailer has been released for Tim Burton's Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. The movie is based on the novel of the same name by Ransom Riggs, with a story following a boy named Jake, played by Asa Butterfield, who discovers a mysterious orphanage populated by kids who have strange powers and abilities. However, as soon as he becomes comfortable in this odd place, he learns it may be in danger from hidden enemies who are hunting these kids for their powers. The new footage premiered during the Teen Choice Awards and focuses on the threat the peculiar children must face in the form of Samuel L. Jackson's mysterious character who appears to be hunting them all down. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children arrives in theaters on September 30th. Schnepp, buy or sell the new trailer for Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children.
I'm really excited about this Tim Burton film. This feels like a return to something that he's really into. I could just watching the trailers, you just see that energy, that original stuff that might not have been there in the last few films of his. That feels like just the trailers, all the shots that I've seen have that Burton edge that I personally love. This is like Tim Burton's X-Men. That's what it feels like to me. And every time I see any more footage from it, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot wait to see this film. And I'm just still feeling that from seeing this clip. So I cannot wait to see this film.
Yeah, it's probably the darkest thing you'll ever see on the Teen Choice Awards. Like when I read that, and then I went into this trailer, I'm like, oh, there's just going to be another light and fluffy. But it does get a little like dark and menacing because we get some more of the story and we see what we're going up against, what all these mutants, as you would say, are going to be facing. And it looks pretty perilous when you see Samuel L. Jackson as the bad guy here. So yeah, I buy this. I bought everything that I've seen from this movie so far. This is slowly becoming one of my most anticipated of the latter part of 2016.
I'm gonna buy it because it has to stay with a consistency for sure. I'm still kind of going in wary because Tim Burton hasn't been the Tim Burton of old for a while. So what I've seen so far with the trailers, this trailer included, I absolutely got the Tim Burton's X-Men. I think that is refreshing. I think it could be really cool, and I like the fact that Asa Butterfield is kind of front and center again. So I would like to see where this goes. I'm kind of where we were with Ridley Scott before The Martian, and that's kind of how I feel with Tim Burton right now.
Right.
It's like, give me your Martian. You know, let this be the one. I'm okay with that because I'm absolutely kind of like, it's on my radar going, I think this could be really cool, really creative, what Tim Burton does best. I'm just a little on the fence right now.
The Ridley Scott thing's a great call. It's like, Tim Burton has a fastball. And we haven't seen it for a little bit, but the trailers for like Alice in Wonderland, the first one, I didn't really care about them. And Bright Eyes, was that the movie?
Yeah.
Bright Eyes.
It was like,
Schnepp loved that one.
I liked watching that movie,
did not
okay,
like
but it's
it.
nothing that I ever really cared about going into it.
Right.
But this one, now my expectation level has risen every time I've seen one of these trailers. So hopefully it's a good holiday movie.
I forgot to say I buy this film.
We all buy it. We'll see. All right, Bad Santa.
A new set of images and an official motion poster has been released for the upcoming Bad Santa 2, which sees the return of Billy Bob Thornton's less than jolly Saint Nick's. He is joined by returning cast members Tony Cox and Brett Kelly. Thornton plays Willie, who teams up once again with his angry little sidekick Marcus, played by Cox, to knock off a Chicago charity on Christmas Eve. Along for the ride is Thurman Merman, played by Kelly, a 250-pound ray of sunshine who brings out Willie's sliver of humanity.
Sandwiches.
Kathy Bates also joins the cast this time around as Willie's horror story of a mother, Sunny. Willie is further burdened by lusting after the curvaceous Diane, played by Emmy Award nominee from Mad Men, Christina Hendricks. Mean Girls director Mark Waters takes the helm this time around with a release set for November 23rd. Kristian, buy or sell the first images and motion poster for Bad Santa 2.
Your name is Thurman Merman? I buy it. I buy it. So far, and when we talked about the little teaser, I think I sold it because I just don't know. I maybe tentatively bought it or just sold it. I can't remember what the hell it was. Just the fact that it was just, is it too late? Is it too late for this movie? Is it a Zoolander thing? You know, is it too late? And I don't care right now because these images look funny. And I love the fact that Thurman Merman is coming back. I was curious if he was going to come back. I like that they brought the kid back and that he hasn't changed.
He looks the same, only older.
He just looks like he just looks like the giant version of Thurman Merman. And this looks like what I want to see Billy Bob Thornton beating the crap out of another Santa. That's what he should be doing. And then he's wrestling with his buddy. You know they're going to wind up fighting. I just hope they don't do the same thing they did in the first one where the guy turns on him for a second, then they team back up. It's like, I don't mind them fighting the whole time. That's hysterical when they do that, but let's keep them together. So the images alone I buy because it looks in the tone that I want it to look for the sequel.
It's interesting that I'm buying it too because you're right, you do have a little bit of trepidation if you consider Zoolander 2, and when you saw those still images, it's like, oh, the gang's back in action. They got everybody back, and then that ended up being just them trying to do the same steps again. It didn't really work out, but I wanted to see Tony Cox again. Like, I don't want to see Bad Santa without Tony Cox and without Thurman Merman. So seeing them back in it, it's like, it just looks like they're embracing it. So while these images don't reveal anything particularly new about a story, I don't think any of us need that from Bad Santa 2. This is not a normal sequel where you want to see it go other places. I could just use a lot more Bad Santa, so I'm going to buy it. Schnepp?
Yeah, these images put such a smile on my face. This is one of my favorite Christmas movies. I watch this every Christmas. Bad Santa. I hope that Bad Santa 2 can join my Christmas as a double feature. These pictures give me that hope because, seeing Brett Kelly back, I don't know if he's even acting anymore. They just pulled him out of whatever he's doing now. Be like, yo, we need Thurman back. And there he is, looking exactly the same. You're like, just a larger version of him.
He's got a red phone in his living room.
I can't wait to see Kathy Bates as his mom. I mean, these are like, we don't have John Ritter, we don't have Bernie Mac, so of course they're irreplaceable, but they're going with a totally different storyline. Sounds just as mean and mean-spirited, so I cannot bring Bad Santa. I cannot wait. I buy all these pictures.
All right, pretty epic buy or sell we just had there where we were super positive even on a Transformers story. Wendy, I want to toss it to you. First of all, what are the kids in the chat room saying about Guardians of the Galaxy 2? Is James Gunn telling the truth? And then let's also talk a little bit about that Transformers poster.
Well, sure. So it seems like the chat's actually all right with the absence of Infinity Stones in Guardians 2, #Stonage. Tyrus QW says, I am glad there's no Infinity Stones in this one. I know everything's working towards Infinity Wars, but it's nice to have a story that is in a way its own thing. And someone's speculating that the 2 remaining Infinity Stones will be shown in Doctor Strange and in Thor Ragnarok. And then the poster from Transformers: The Dark Knight. So they're selling Transformers, the franchise, in the movie, but they are buying the poster because honestly, it looks pretty cool. Brian Grazer says they are trying to trick us by raising our hopes by putting the words together with Transformers, but I still sell this. And Jason C. says, if marketing for Transformers movie matched the directing, the franchise would be bigger than what it already is.
Yeah, usually when you see a movie and you love it, that's why you put a poster up on your wall. I think we should put the Transformers The Last Night poster up now.
Seriously.
And then we see the movie, then we'll have to take it down.
Yeah.
But for the next year, we could have a really cool poster up.
I would just lie if people after the movie was really terrible and people were like, oh, what's that from the fifth one? Nah, it's from the original series. That's all I would say.
It's from the ultimate cut with 30
Yeah,
more
it's so
minutes
good.
where it makes sense. All right, let's go to opening this week when we do have that movie on the top of everybody's tongue, brought to you by our friends at AMC Theaters.
It's Suicide Squad. Intelligence officer Amanda Waller, Viola Davis, decides to assemble a team of dangerous, incarcerated supervillains for a top-secret mission. Figuring it has nothing to lose, the U.S. government supplies weapons to Deadshot Will Smith, Harley Quinn Margot Robbie, Captain Boomerang Jai Courtney, and other despicable inmates. Dubbed the Suicide Squad, the United Criminals must defeat a mysterious and powerful entity while contending with the antics of the diabolical Joker, Jared Leto.
I'm going to say it right now. I'm very excited to see this movie. I just don't see how this movie is bad as what the tomato meter is giving us right now. Like, this is a movie that I've always been super excited to see from when I heard the premise, when we saw the first trailers, from seeing what David Ayer was saying about this movie at Comic-Con, where he said, this is a movie that's going to showcase how awesome Amanda Waller is, getting all of these criminals together to go on this mission. It just looks like a can't-miss proper to me. So, Kristian, when you see all of the, I don't want to say backlash yet, but the lower score on the tomato meter than certainly we would hope to see going into a movie, what's your take on that?
Makes me want to crawl under a rock. I don't want to take any. I don't want to read anything. Right. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to read comments. I don't want to hear anybody talking about if they've seen it or not. I don't care what you think about the movie. I want to go and see it myself because, like you said, it is a great premise. It has the potential to do some great things, not only for an original kind of story, but also furthering the DC cinematic universe. I'm a big fan of David Ayer. I really hope this movie works. I want it to work. I'm going to see it tonight. I'm very curious to see what Ashley Mova's boyfriend Jared Leto is going to do in this movie as the Joker. But yeah, and I really am crossing my fingers that this is a movie that is going to work.
Okay, Schnepp. So we're kind of professional when we go see a movie now. Like, we can take all the noise, flush it out of our head for 2 hours. That's what you would suggest to everybody out there who's going to go see Suicide Squad this weekend, is just you block out all the noise and you go in and you give your own take on whether you like the movie or not, right?
I would agree with you. Yeah, I mean, I have not read any of the reviews. Wasn't even aware. I knew people had seen it like the last couple days, but a dentist told me this morning, it's getting all these Rotten Tomato bad reviews, and I was like shocked to hear it. I'm not going to read anything about it. Obviously, I'm going to see it with all y'all tonight, and we'll probably do a little non-spoilers thing. But honestly, it's up to everyone to see it and make up their own mind. That's how any movie is. So, when we say yay or nay to a film, you just take our opinion, add it with other people's opinions, and then you make up your own. But for myself, I'm going in a little lowered expectations now, but I hope to have those expectations shattered and still love the film. So,
and let's just remember that the tomato meter, yes, it goes fresh or rotten, but sometimes you have to wait for that tomato meter to ripen. We have 39 total reviews for Suicide Squad out there right now. So maybe when the majority of people get to go see the movie and give their thoughts, maybe that tomato meter goes up a little bit. I'm rooting for this movie. I want it to be great. And like Kristian said, I am super excited to see what Ashley's boyfriend, Jared Leto, does as the Joker. Yeah. On the plane home last night, I was reading Rolling Stone. He was on the cover, and I thought of you, Ash.
Oh, thank you.
That's right. He seems like he's pretty happy in life, but maybe you could up that just a notch.
I'll try, but I mean, I don't think Rotten Tomatoes is making this any easier.
Very good, boys. That casting call's waiting for you when Jared Leto can't do the Joker anymore. Let's move on to mailbag, but we want to remind you guys at the end of this show, we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us at Collider Video and let Ashley know she's got a shot with the Joker just to make sure your question gets read on air. In the meantime, let's go to mailbag, where you guys can email us anytime, collidervideo@gmail.com. Ashley, what's up first in our mailbox?
Nicholas writes, hey Collider crew, what is your favorite directorial debut excluding Citizen Kane because that's too easy? I really like the concise question, by the way. It's not like a life story. It's just like a sentence and it's a question.
That's right. And there's parameters where you can't take Citizen
Exactly.
Kane, which is what everybody
You
would
got it
want to
out.
jump all over because that was Orson Welles' magnum opus. I am going to go with Boys in the Hood by John Singleton. I think that when you see that movie, it's like, oh, this guy's been around the ropes. This guy knows how to direct a movie, and finally he's going to tackle something of substance. And it's like, no, that was that dude's first directorial feature. It's an incredible piece of work that still holds up. Check out Boys in the Hood and then come back and tell me if you really believe that's John Singleton's first movie. It's awesome start to finish. What do you got, Kristian?
Only one?
Sure.
Do a couple, man.
Maybe two.
I got a couple.
Maybe two.
I'll do two. Then I have to go with Gone Baby Gone with Ben Affleck because that is a movie that he basically said, look what I can do. I'm not using my superstardom. I'm not going to put myself in it. Put my brother in it. You're not even going to know that I'm there. And you're like, whoa, like who directed this? Wait, Ben Affleck directed this? Like, it was such. It's still, I think, one of his best. I love Gone Baby Gone. If you haven't seen that film, you should. It really showed that the man could really make a great story, could tell a good story, and it showed his directing chops. And I think has proven he hasn't directed a bad movie yet. Young career still is directing, but still has been on fire. The other one is it's easy, but it's Quentin Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs. I think that's a movie when you if you watch today and you watch Reservoir Dogs, you watch his movies from today, watch Reservoir Dogs, you see who you're dealing with as a filmmaker, as a screenwriter, someone who it's just there's no one like him. It's very rare to get directors that are able to just he's the star. You go to watch his movies because it's a Tarantino film. Right. You don't have that, and Reservoir Dogs was the start of that.
Okay, Schnepp, the bar has been set very high by both Kristian and myself. How do you top it?
That's why I had a list because I had Tarantino down as Reservoir Dogs as well.
Audible.
The Evil Dead by Sam Raimi. It's definitely a big imprint and started his style, was there from the very beginning. Bottle Rocket by Wes Anderson. Once again, another very stylistic film. And then as you see his films continue, you see that style. So it's like seeing a young director have an imprint on their very first film and that kind of formality and that kind of style of the way they actually tell stories kind of follows through and grows with every film. I also just like Easy Rider by Dennis Hopper and Repo Man by Alex Cox. Those are some way back ones you should check out.
Yeah, great call. Also throw your boy Tim Burton in there too, because some people would say Frankenweenie's the first directorial thing that he made that got note, but Pee-wee's Big Adventure is just, it's an all-time classic movie.
Yes.
Do yourself a favor and watch that, not Big Top Pee-wee. You'll need to see that one. All right, what's our next mailbag
Is American
question?
Beauty Sam Mendes' first movie?
That's a great question.
I
don't think
love
it
that
is.
movie.
I will look it up while you go to our
Okay.
next mailbag question.
AM writes, hey guys, I watched a documentary recently on Batman in 1989, and it had me thinking, do you think Tim Burton's Batman would have the same success today as it did in 1989? If we never had Nolan's version of Batman and now Ben Affleck's version of Batman, I remember being 11 years old when that movie first came out and the impact that it had at the time, not only movie making, but future comic books, but what it also did in pop culture. To this day, I've never had the same experience in a theater like I did with Batman 89. I remember grown men literally standing, clapping, and cheering at the end of the movie. For me, it was and always will be my best movie-going experience. Just wondering your thoughts on this. Thanks for taking my question.
Great question. It's way up there on my list, too, as far as movie-going experiences go. I saw the movie when I was 8 years old, and I will just never forget the excitement, the hype that surrounded Batman that entire summer. By the way, Ashley, that was Sam Mendes' first movie.
Really?
Well done. American Beauty. Whew. Opening strong. So Batman, I don't know that it would have the same cultural impact as it did back in 1989. It's just a different time period. And I think you would get a lot of backlash for not sticking to the Batman character or the Batman lore more faithfully. But having said that, when you go back and watch 1989 Batman, there's so much about that movie that holds up just as an entertaining film. Although I think that in today's day and age, it just simply, it's impossible to have the same kind of impact that it had back when it came out in 89.
Yeah, I watched it recently. As far as if it came out today, no, it wouldn't have the same impact, I don't believe, because it has, for what you're saying, obviously with the lore, it was, and what we were talking about before, it was a product of the late 80s. The music, even with the Prince soundtrack, and all that, it was more like they almost treated some of it like a music video, which at the time was fine. There were some really cheesy, kind of over-the-top moments that worked for the filmmaking at the time. It was big events. It did work. It's a lot. There are some dark moments for sure in that film. I thought, and I'll tell you what, I was watching it recently, like last week. Michael Keaton is phenomenal in that role. I mean, and he is I think Michael Keaton as Batman would indeed hold up today if he was, same age and everything too. That version of Bruce Wayne worked. It was some of the other things, even like when the Joker takes his thugs into the museum and they're dancing around and doing all this kind of ridiculous nonsense. I don't know if people want more realism in the movies now too, especially in comic book movies.
Right.
So I don't think it would work today, but it certainly worked back then.
How dare if you say Robert Wool is cheesy in that movie,
so
we're gonna have
bad. He's
words.
so bad
Robert
in that
Wool's
movie.
great as the reporter,
He's ridiculous.
Alexander Knox. One of the best parts about that movie is when Joker's looking at a picture of Knox and he says, "Who's that loss?" Great line. What do you got, Schnepp?
Robert Wall, one of the horrible parts of the Batman.
Yeah.
film. Just kidding, Ellis.
Can I have a grant?
Yeah. It was like a bat? All right.
King of the Wicker People.
Yes. I love Batman '89. I was one of those adults clapping that when you saw the film. I was like 17, saw the film when I was in college, first year of college, and actually, no, I'm sorry, a couple years later in college. I was probably like 19.
Get your story straight.
I know, right?
Schnepp.
Get it together. It's '89. I was looking forward to Batman for many reasons. Being a comic book nerd, the Renaissance had just started in like Dark Knight Returns, Batman Year One, which basically some of the story and some of the look of the Tim Burton pulled a lot from the Dark Knight. Not a lot of the story aspects of the actual gritty realism, but some of the aspects of a darker Batman, a more serious Batman, a psychological Batman, were all pulled from the comics from like 85, 86, 87, 88. So I think a lot of comic book fans were ready for a more adult take on Batman and getting rid of the bam pow whiff, from the Adam West Batman. I'm glad that it became such a cultural phenomenon, but if you can't replicate that now, because now we're in the golden age of superhero films where like every 3 months there's like another gigantic superhero film happening every 3 months till infinity. So you can't have Batman '89 come out. I understand the question is whether it would have the same impact, but you would never have had Christopher Nolan's Batman if you didn't have Tim Burton's Batman.
Right.
Chris Nolan took the black outfit that Tim Burton brought to Batman. And so certain things are based on history. So you can't actually like update them or say, what if we made this film now? You can't. It's just part of history. So like a lot of films that never got made, you can't make them now because they just wouldn't be what they were going to be. So you have to just look at it like that. Like I think Batman '89 stands up for when it was made. Like, I saw it recently too, and it definitely has that like, it was non-linear editing at the time. There's a lot of certain things in history that just didn't exist yet, so that kind of comes through in the screens to a certain degree. But I still think it holds up. It's just a different kind of Batman.
Absolutely. Say whatever you want about the movie, but I do agree with Schnepp and Kristian where the performance of Robert Wool as Alexander Knox holds up
Come
to
on,
this day.
Wicker people.
We had an action-packed episode today, but we did save a little bit of time for your live Twitter questions. Ashley, let's do 2 Twitter questions today. What do we got?
Jon Smith writes, when are behind-the-scenes videos coming to the YouTube channel?
Behind the scenes, as far as what goes on here at Collider, well, we have to go through a number of legal people before we can release any of that information. Kristian, you love exposing what happens behind the scenes, behind closed doors, and throwing it out there to the public, regardless of whether we sign off on it. When can we expect to see some behind-the-scenes stuff?
I mean, it's something Dennis and I have been talking about for a while, but we have just a lot of other things on the plate right now. It's something that is definitely in consideration that we want to do. It's manpower. Like every other thing is, we have a lot of shows up right now. There's other things that we're working on, but it's definitely on. It's on the menu.
Schnepp, the director of development, is being very cagey about when he's going to see behind-the-scenes footage.
Right.
Do you think that's something you and I should participate in, or should we just run across the street whenever the cameras are on?
I think we should participate in it. We got to get the sign off from the Wicker people first, but once they've signed off and everything's cool, we're going to start doing some BTS.
Well, you know who the queen of the Wicker people is?
Kim Basinger.
Ashley, would you be up for behind the scenes?
Of course. And can I just say that I love Kristian's single shot today? Can we see it? Can we see it pulled up?
What happened?
Like
oh, right there. Look at that.
Yeah, the little sausage
Like,
sticking up.
peeking in this side the
Hey
whole
there,
time. I was trying
hey.
not to laugh.
Just a little tiny weenie going in his ear. Nothing
Hi,
to be
guys.
concerned with.
No big
folks.
deal. No big deal.
Look at me in the
All
corner.
right, what's our last Twitter question of the day?
Okay. David Gabel writes, are there any movie actors you think would be better suited for TV and vice versa?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
I mean, when you look at somebody, I would throw John Bernthal's name in there because it's at the tip of my tongue. Because Kristian and I were talking about The Punisher at length this morning, where I think that he is great on TV. I also think that he can transfer so well cinematically. He's done it in bit parts before, and he's starting to have more of a presence on screen. I think Norman Reedus is the same way, where you can put him in a film and he has that same intensity that doesn't always translate from TV to movies. Now, if you want to go the other way, as far as like a movie actor maybe being better suited for TV, anybody in that world you can think of off the top of your head, Schnepp?
I'd like to see Pine from Star Trek do a television series. I would love to see the entire Star Trek crew do a TV series.
That'd be cool. It'd be a pretty penny, but it might be worth it.
Well, I mean, in the world we live in now, where everything is like we're going back and forth with television and streaming services as TV becomes this other thing, I don't mind seeing a back and forth between different kinds of actors. I don't think there really is. The age of the movie star is going away, so to speak, as far as like the idea of a movie star versus just a star. So someone like, you're like, I just want to hire that person because they're talented. You know, they could bring it. They have an acting ability. That's what we're looking for now, I think.
Yeah, a guy I always really liked in movies was Kiefer Sutherland, and then I'm like, oh, he's doing a TV show. Is that a step down for him? And then obviously he did 24, and he's got this new show coming out this fall that looks kind of cool too. So Kiefer Sutherland, as great as he is on the big screen, I like him better on the small screen. How about you?
It's so funny how like taboo years ago TV was for a movie star. They're like, no, I'll never do TV.
Death
now
of my career.
Now there's so much. Like, again, bringing up Stranger Things. That was an 8-hour movie.
Yeah.
And you're able to basically have the same impact that films do on television now, not just Netflix, different mediums for sure. I mean, different, like whether it's Amazon or even getting cable TV. Look at Game of Thrones. That's very theatrical. So as far as the actors and actresses go, I'm going to take two actors that I've been kind of hard on that I think that you have Sam Worthington, who's a guy that every single time that he has had smaller roles, whether it's Everest, whether it's Cake, has been great. I think he's a guy that could do similar to what Taylor Kitsch did, and he was in True Detective season 2, whatever you want to say about that particular series. Taylor Kitsch was really good. The other guy is Jai Courtney, and I know he already did it with Spartacus, but Jai Courtney, in the two smaller roles that I've seen him in supporting roles, whether it be that Unbroken and The Water Diviner, those are the roles, smaller type of television type roles that I think you could put him in the forefront and let him expand a little bit more. I think those guys would be good. And someone else who has had her share of movie stardom, and I want to see her, and I've never seen her in television do a full series, is Julia Roberts. Would love to see Julia Roberts do whether something a little bit more edgy in an Amazon series or a Hulu series or Netflix, whatever it might be. I think could absolutely do.
Well, I have some really good news for you. Nothing on the Julia Roberts front.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you actually get to see your boy Jai Courtney on the big screen tonight
Right.
when we all go see Suicide Squad as a family, like we should. And we want to remind you guys that later this week, right here on Collider Video's YouTube channel, we're going to have a Suicide Squad, both a spoiler-free and a spoiler-heavy edition. So make sure that you guys check those out. Go see Suicide Squad. Come back here for the spoiler-heavy version. I think we'll have the spoiler-free one up either tomorrow or the next day. So buckle your safety belts. We have no idea how we're going to feel about the film, but it all goes down in T-minus 7 hours.
Yeah.
That's all for today's edition of Movie Talk. I want to thank everybody both behind the scenes and up front here with me on the panel. First, let's go to the one, the only Miss Wendy Lee. Where can everybody find you online?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
And then we go over to Big Jon Schnepp. Mr. Schnepp, where can the kids find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram just at Jon Schnepp.
Very mystical. And now we go over to a very reserved Kristian Harloff. You haven't quite gotten your lather going for the Friday match that you have you versus Jason Inman. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I'll tell you what, I haven't won a singles match since 2014. So Andy just beat me. It seems like I have to rely on you now for wins. But
get on my back, man.
I know. So, but look, Jason Inman's not going to be easy. He was really good against Gray Drake, really knows his stuff. Not going to see a lot of smack talk this time around because I really respect everything that Jason Inman has done, and the fact that he's been a guy like, hey, I want to compete, I want to do this, and it's like it's a guy that wants to be part of this thing. So I'm looking forward to it. The winner gets into the Ultimate Showdown. Championship tournament. The loser does not. I have never not been in a tournament yet, so we'll see what happens.
You just don't want him to spin superheroes. Like, don't
that
get on that
scares the
wheel. Yeah,
crap out of
that's
me.
going to be frightening.
If he hits superheroes, I'm in trouble.
He's not just limited to superhero knowledge, though.
No, I
You
know, but
I mean,
but he had good luck. He kept spinning superhero stuff. Everything he did was superhero movies against Grey Drake, and he beat her up. So
I'm rooting for you. Will Inman not get a great role, or will Kristian end up with another wiener in his ear this Friday? We'll have to wait and see. And now we go over to the person who pointed that out, Ashley Mova. Where can everybody find you?
Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, at Ashley Mova. Happy Tuesday, guys. And out of curiosity, Schnepp, are you going to be on Nightmares this week?
Yes. Yep.
Yep. I just wanted to point that out. You guys
Oh, yeah,
should
that's
check
right.
it out.
Nightmares is coming up today. Check it out.
Dennis almost fell
It's
off his
filled with
chair.
horror and tasty goodness. Nightmares. Stay tuned. It'll be on later today. Thank you, Ashley
No
Mova.
props. I'm here for you guys.
You're getting a big bratwurst in your ear right after this show. I want to thank everybody out there watching us. Thank you guys for supporting Collider Movie Talk. Make sure you guys check out amctheaters.com. That's where you go for all the box office showtime ticket information. Bookmark collider.com. That's where we go for a lot of the movie stories we bring you guys each and every weekday. And of course, subscribe right here at Collider Video. My name is Mark Ellis. You can find me at Mark Ellis Live. Later this month, I will be in Sacramento and San Francisco telling jokes. You can get tickets at markellislive.com. That's all for today. See you guys tomorrow.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.